Alps, which is the new film by...
What's that about,
it's the new film...
Who's in it?
I'm telling you.
How long does it last?
It's the new film by
What
Yorgos
certificate is it?
Lanthimos, who was... You will remember Yorgos
I don't.
Lanthimos, who was the kind of head of... Well, the forefront of the Greek New Wave. He directed that film, Dogtooth. Did you see Dogtooth?
Him.
Which I, interestingly enough, introduced on. We had a Film 4 Extreme season recently. I used to do all these introductions of extreme cinema on Film 4, and they sort of fallen by the wayside. I mean, we did.
Why did they fall by the wayside? Was it someone else?
No. It wasn't anybody else.
Did they not like you?
No. We just done. Yes, probably that. We'd been extreme.
Done everything.
We'd done a lot of extreme cinema, and I suggested that we should do Mark Kermode's Mellow movies, and they said that's not such a good idea. Anyway,
how about Creaky? What's up?
Turn your phone off!
I've only just turned it on.
You're driving me nuts. Turn it off.
It's production.
I'm only here for 2 and a bit hours. Turn it off while I tell you about Alps. Okay, so Dogtooth was a very, very interesting film that it was a creaky pleasure that I recently introduced on this Film for Extreme season. The story, it was a film about a family that was completely cut off from the world. Remember that M. Night Shyamalan, that one?
Ding dong.
That film about the village, right? When the idea was that there was a village living within the modern world, but they had somehow convinced all the kids that, in fact, they were in a non-modern world, not in a town. Okay. So in the case of Dogtooth, the story was that these parents had convinced their children that the only safe place in the world was their house and their garden. And they'd lied to them about the outside world. They said all this terrible, awful, apocalyptic stuff is in the outside world. When they see planes going over, but they say, oh, they're toys that will fall out of the sky, and then they give them little toy planes. And it was a really strange film, and it was about horrible, overwhelming paternalistic control, and it was perhaps a government satire, and it was a lot of things. But the most important thing about it was that in a really bizarre, weird, twisted way, it was engaging and entertaining. The problem with Alps, which is a story about a group of people who call themselves Alps, who what they do is they imitate recently dead people in order to help their relatives through the grieving process. So if somebody dies, they go and pretend to be that person for a month in order to...
That'll help them.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all very, we're not meant to sort of... But actually, in a way, although you're being terribly flippant whilst clearing up the paper...
I'm not being flippant.
You've gone straight to the heart of it. The problem is this. In the case of Dogtooth, for all its absolute absurdity and really strange, edgy, edge, you did think, OK, I can almost buy this. In the case of Alps, the problem is I don't buy it. And so what happens is that when you get this sort of series of like these tabloids of people imitating human life, of people pretending to be other people, of people going, maybe it's about ritual, maybe it's about the way that people are constrained by cultural baggage, maybe it's about the way in which language defines us, maybe it's government satire, maybe it's all of those things, all of which you could also say about Dogtooth. The difference was with Dogtooth that you were engrossed and engaged, even though it was a completely absurdist and, strange, dystopian, horrible nightmare. You were engaged in it. In the case of Alps, you're just sitting there watching it play out. And I have to say, I think it's a misstep. I do think Yorgos Lanthimos was a very interesting director, but all that watching Alps did for me was make me think I really want to see Dogtooth again. Because the difference with Dogtooth, I'm going to finish now that you're putting your bags away, the difference with Dogtooth was that for all the arch invention and dramatic alienation and all the rest of it, Dogtooth engaged you on an emotional level. This didn't.
Have your Guardian back and tell me about the DVD of the week in a sentence. That's all you got. One sentence.
Margin call. Paul Bettany back and better than ever before.
That will be it. What a great podcast it's been. Thank you very much indeed for listening. We'll try another one next week.
Turn your phone back on again. Now, I think code of conduct applies in this room.
Dream on, Squire.